Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I want to talk about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Now, if you know anything about this channel, I'm definitely not like a content creator or anything. I don't whale. I don't have all of the latest and greatest content. I'm, for the most part, a free-to-play player. I've been playing this game for about 2 years now, and in the grand scheme of things, I've probably put in about $50 to $60 into this game. If you don't play this game for very long, you might think that's a lot of money for a mobile game. If you have played this game a lot, you know that that is not very much money at all given this game's economy. Now, one thing most free-to-play players are aware of is that one of the most annoying parts of this game is that it's just a constant grind. You're always grinding for the next character, or you're always grinding for that extra stun gun or carbonti. It's really annoying, and it can really bring you down on playing. And so today I want to talk about potentially the most important team a free-to-play player can have to grow more rapidly in this game and to accrue gear pieces faster. So let's get started and let's talk about that. The team I want to talk about today is the Night Sister team, and in particular, the Night Sister Cheese team. Now, the reason that we call this that is because it's kind of silly and it's kind of cheap, but it works extremely well for raids, which is where you're going to get a lot of pieces of gear. You're going to get shards for important characters like Darth Traya and General Kenobi, and if you already have those characters, you're going to get shard store currency, which is important for getting, yes, more gear. Now, what I'm not claiming is that this team is some god-tier team that's going to solo the entire raid for you. It's not going to be this god-tier team that's getting you everything and it's going to guarantee you to get in first place in every single raid. What it does do is it's going to get you into at least the top 10. And for me, I always score in the top 3 usually with just this team alone. It can do so much damage. It is capable of soloing Phase 3 of the Sith Triumvirate raid, and it's capable of soloing Phase 2 of the Tank raid. Now, depending on how much work you want to put into this team, if you want to relic up Asajj Ventress, who is the most important person in this team, you are capable of probably soloing phases 2 through 4 of the Tank raid with this team. You're probably not going to be able to solo phases 3 and 4 of the Sith raid. I haven't really gotten that far yet. I haven't advanced Asajj enough, and I probably won't because I'm pretty happy with where this team is for now. I've got other teams to work on. So let's go ahead and talk about why this is such an important team and how this will work for your raids. So first, let's talk about how this team works and what is required. So you're going to need these 5 characters that I've got on the screen right here. You're going to need Mother Talzin, Asajj Ventress, Old Daka, Jedi Anakin, and Night Sister Initiate. Now, the important things about this, Talzin, you have to have the Zeta on her leader ability. Asajj, you're going to need the Zeta on her Rampage. You don't need the Zeta on Old Daka, however, it's nice to have in general. You don't need it for this team. And the Initiate, you need to be very weak. The weaker, the better. You just want to have the Omega on her basic ability. That is the prerequisite that you're going to need for her. So, as you can see, I have her at level 78 and gear 5. Now, the strategy behind how this team is going to work for the Sith raid is you need the Initiate to die off as soon as possible. Thanks to the Zeta on Talzin's leader ability, every time a Night Sister does a basic attack, Initiate will be called to assist, and then she will die, which will trigger Jedi Anakin's unique ability to take a bonus turn. You're going to get into this constant loop of Night Sister takes a turn, Anakin takes a turn. You're going to be trying to inflict a lot of debuffs on Darth Traya, which she will resist most of the time, which will then feed more turn meter to the Night Sisters and essentially allows you to go without Darth Traya ever taking a turn. Now, this plan isn't foolproof. There are some things you need to think about whenever you do this, as well as your modding needs to be done carefully. I also want to say that I did not come up with this strategy. I've seen some other videos that do this. I don't want to claim any sort that this is my strategy and my thought alone. I use this team a lot, and I know that it is incredibly important for free-to-play players to grow just because I have personally. So let's go ahead, let's look at the strategy, and then we'll go into how the characters need to be set up for this. You need the Initiate to die as soon as possible, and then you need to get Traya down into her topple. Once she is toppled and on her knee like this, it's called the topple, you want to just turn on auto, basic, and let it ride. Just babysit it to make sure nothing silly happens, like she gets back up and you start basicking her sabers, because that would be bad. All that's going to happen is you're going to have Night Sister do a basic, Initiate comes back, Initiate dies, Jedi Knight Anakin is going to take a turn, rinse and repeat. That cycle is just going to keep going over and over. Why does that work? Because whenever you attack Traya, you're going to try to land a debuff. Traya is going to resist most of your debuffs, which feeds turn meter back to the Night Sisters. Now, all the meanwhile, these Night Sisters are gaining lots of turn meter, and Traya is not going to be gaining as much turn meter, so it's not going to be able for her to keep up. Now, Asajj, with her Rampage ability with her Zeta, she's going to be gaining more and more damage the more turns she takes and the more times that the Initiate dies. So she, at the end of this phase, will be doing around 400,000 damage. So she will be able to help. She is the key portion of taking out this phase of the raid. Now, for this portion of the raid, you want to make sure that your potency on your characters is as low as possible with your mods. That way, Traya is going to have a better chance to debuff them, which is going to get you more turn meter. You're also going to want to have Initiate have an Omega on that basic ability because she will try to inflict two stacks of damage over time on Traya, which she is guaranteed to resist, which turns into more turn meter for you. Additionally, you want to have as much critical chance on the Initiate as possible so that she has the best chance of inflicting that critical hit, which means damage over time, which means resist, which means turn meter, and so on goes the cycle. Now let's go ahead and let's look at the characters' kits and see how we need to have them modded. Now, as far as strength goes, Gear 12 is probably an ideal place to be for these characters. Really, the most important one, though, is Asajj for the Sith Raid. She's going to be your primary damage dealer. You just need Mother Talzin Old Daka to stay alive. Same with Jedi Knight Anakin. Now, if you want to be doing the same thing in like the tank raid, you're going to need Mother Talzin Old Daka, Jedi Knight Anakin to be a little bit stronger, and you're going to need to pay a little bit more attention to your mods and stuff like that. However, for the Sith raid, Phase 3, not as important. You might still be able to get it done. However, you're going to need to worry about speed and stuff like that. Now let's talk about how these characters need to be outfitted to make this work. Now, for whenever you're setting up Mother Talzin, the important piece for her is going to be this leader ability, Zeta. Whenever you're setting up her leader ability, you're going to want to have that Zeta because that's what's going to call the Initiate back to assist. Now, as far as mods go, the most important thing you're going to want is speed on Mother Talzin. That's because you want her to take as many turns as possible, and it's going to prevent Darth Traya from getting turn meter, which is going to prevent her from getting back from her topple. So as much speed as possible is ideal. Other than that, offense, stuff like that, just so that she's able to deal some damage, but really, speed is going to be key. Now, moving over to Asajj, she is the centerpiece of this, and she is going to be the most important piece of this whole thing because she is going to be your damage dealer. That damage is going to come from her Rampage Zeta. That's going to allow her to gain a lot of turn meter, and it's going to give her offense every time the Initiate comes back and dies. So that Zeta is required for this to work. As far as mods go on Asajj, you're going to want to have as much critical damage, speed, and critical chance on her as possible. The critical chance not as important, but definitely speed and critical damage. Speed, again, so she takes as many turns as she can, prevents Darth Traya from getting out of her topple, and the critical damage because she's going to be dealing almost entirely critical hits, and it's just going to allow you to deal a lot of damage. Now, for Old Daka, really the most important thing for her is going to be speed. You want her, again, taking as many turns as possible so that she is able to get turn meter, and so Darth Traya doesn't gain turn meter. Now, however, if you want to adapt this for other raids, you're going to want the Zeta on her Serve Again ability, which allows her to increase her max health, and you're just going to want a lot of health on her to give her survivability so that she can keep bringing back Night Sisters or Jedi Knight Anakin if something goes wrong. Now, for Jedi Knight Anakin, the important piece is just to have him at 7 stars and have this Righteous Fury. You don't need to have the Zeta on it. You just need him to have it so that he is able to be called to assist every time the Initiate is revived. Other than that, speed and offense are kind of nice on his mods so that he's able to help out in getting rid of those sabers so that you don't have to use a basic attack on them and bring back the Initiate. The other thing is you're going to want to have low potency so that he's not inflicting his debuffs on Traya so that it feeds more turn meter to the Night Sisters. For the Initiate, you're going to want her to be as weak as possible, low gear, and you're going to want to have the Omega on her Slice Open ability because that is going to enable her to deal 2 stacks of damage over time whenever she lands a critical hit. You're going to want to be landing as many critical hits as possible, and that's more damage over time you're going to try to inflict on Darth Traya. She is immune to damage over time, which means all those will be resisted and give you lots of turn meter. As far as mods for Initiate go, the most important thing is that you get high critical chance. You want her to be landing a critical hit almost, if not every single time she's called to assist, because that's going to be 2 damage over time she tries to inflict, which is going to be resisted, which is going to feed you turn meter. Now, why do I say this is the most important team for a free-to-play player to have? Certainly, this is not a god-tier team, and certainly this is not going to win you every single raid. However, it is going to guarantee probably that you get into the top 10, for me, the top 5 of every raid. It's also cheaper than other teams. So like, for instance, for Sith raids, for tank raids, good teams are like Shaak Ti clones, a lot of hard-to-get characters. Jedi Training Rey, legendary character. C-3PO, legendary character. Look at this. Asajj, Squad Arena, Old Daka, Cantina rewards, Night Sister. That's going to come from your Galactic War table. Jedi Knight Anakin, hard battles and Cantina energy. Mother Talzin is the only one that requires hard node battles, so she's going to be the longest farm for you. This team really is a discount raid team. It's a really easy way to get that gear, and I think it is an essential team to have if you're going to be a free-to-play player. Guys, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you found this helpful. As a free-to-play player, I really like to see other free-to-play players do well in this game because this is a very pay-to-win heavy game. So hopefully this encourages you to go out and maybe farm this team. It's not a huge commitment to farm. You should be able to get it pretty easily. And if nothing else, the Night Sisters are a nice team to have. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please drop a like. Makes me feel good to know that I'm helping people out. It also helps other people find this video. Please comment down below if you have any other ideas, any thoughts about this team, or any other raid teams. Let's get a discussion going here to help free-to-play players. Also, if you feel so inclined, feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get notifications for any new videos or streams I might have. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.